a thing that you should Google, and I'll look for the video. I said I would tweet it out, but I haven't yet because I'm so upset about Twitter today. So I'm at Dark Secret Place, my feed, by the way. But the mysterious flying metallic orb captured on video, pretty high definition video over the Iraqi city of Mosul. And I don't know why, but for some reason it's being reported as UFOs over conflict areas. And I don't know, if you are an alien, wouldn't you want to go to Sudan and watch how the humans fight or something so that you could perfect your plans to enslave us all? But I will tweet this out because
there is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity with these recent takedowns.
The U.S. military is now detecting more items in the sky after changing radar settings in the wake of the Chinese spy balloon.
Except this happened 2 years before that. This video is captured, and it's clear daylight, color, high definition. It's not like that infrared stuff that the Navy guys took. So I promise for the second hour in a row that I will find it and I'll tweet it out. The explanation that people have for this is you know how you go into settings and you change your privacy key or whatever. So they went to someone got the app for F-22 radar and they changed it. But I'll tweet out a link to it. You have to see it yourself. Now there's that infrared. You've seen that infrared video, right, from the Navy off San Diego. That, because as a rational person and a skeptic, that freaked me out because I know everything about every airplane ever made, and I've never seen anything fly like that. And that
is this the one that kind of stopped and then changes direction, or
it didn't stop as it's flying. It just flips end over end and continues flying. Okay. And the two Navy crew are like, whoa, dude, that thing just flipped end over end, man, and all that. And I mean, these are pilots, and they're looking at something they've never seen before. You can hear it in their voice. Some woman. Oh, by the way, it's not often that a personal friend announces that they're running for president. But, ladies and gentlemen, Larry,
I'm announcing that I'm running for the presidency of the United States on your program, and thank you so much for giving me this honor and this platform. Of course. My website is elderforpresident.com. Elder for President.
Now, this is after, if you didn't and he and I worked together at KBC. I'm a certified good guy. And you can tell when someone's off air how they leave the studio. Did they put everything back the way they found it? Yes, Larry did. Really good guy. When he ran for governor against Navin Gruesome, the LA Times called him the black face of white supremacy.
That's right.
It was the biggest rip I'd ever seen. He was privately pretty livid about that. He was waiting for them to sort of tweak that or take it back or something. Because in California, if you're a conservative, you must be a white supremacist. Well, Larry is from South Central. Larry was one of the first radio people I've ever heard to point out that almost 50% of the homicides in America are done by less than 6% of the country. And that's like 17 to 38-year-old African-American males. And he showed his math. He went to the FBI Universal Crime Statistics, the UCR, Universal Crime Report, and showed how that's reported, and just a really, really level-headed guy. And I think that's great. I would rather see the field narrowed down now, but anyway, we'll get him on.
Elder will be one of the younger people in the race at 70 years young.
Yeah.
He tweeted, "America's in decline, but this decline is not inevitable. We can enter a new American golden age, but we must choose a leader who can bring us there. That's why I'm running for president." He joins a field that is growing on the GOP side with the former President Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, Asa Hutchinson, and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy.
Who is a really, really interesting guy. Very, very sharp guy. And the problem is, if Nikki Haley is in single digits, then what good is that? Did you see the Nikki Haley scandal about her daughter's wedding?
I saw her tweet some pictures from the wedding. I didn't know there was a scandal.
Well, the scandal's that she's wearing an off-white dress.
Uh-oh.
I'm not kidding. That's on New York Post.
Is this one of those meme things where is it blue or is it gold? Remember that challenge where you had to look at the dress?
No, there's her daughter in white. and there she is, one future son-in-law over, and she's wearing off-white. And that's like,
this is disqualifying.
It's one of those issues that a woman's going to have to explain to a man. And speaking of woman and man, Channel 5 found a 10-year-old girl that thinks she's going to be on the women's. Here at the age of 10, she's only 10, and she thinks that she might be on the women's Olympic hockey team someday.
Keeping up with 10-year-old Maya Chen.
Nice. Well, mostly my future was to be able to play on the U.S. women's team.
Oh, sorry. Gotta cancel you, Maya. How dare you at the age of 10 think you're a girl? Well, first of all, you're a 10-year-old girl. What makes you think you're going to grow up and be a woman? So anyway, it was a story on how the success of the Seattle Kraken in their second season is leading to enthusiasms amongst the kids to skate. So that's really cool to see. She's 10 and great on skates and playing the hockey and all that. Last night, I didn't see that third period. But
you missed a great game, but I assume you thought the Kraken won if you missed the third period.
Well, that's what sucks. I'm sitting there minding my own business on the rowing machine, TV's on, and I've already taken my melatonin, so it's 7 p.m. or so, and a little past 7, actually, and the Avalanche scored twice in 48 seconds. So the Kraken score beating a power play, so that's great. And by the way, the concept of the power play, I think that's a biggie. That I would introduce that to the NBA. Play 5-on-4 for 2 minutes.
Make it interesting, absolutely.
Yeah, instead of kicking someone out, where make it part of the game. It's like you flagrantly foul someone, you're out for 4. Okay, do something knuckleheaded, you're out for 2. Your team is now you penalize your team. But anyway, watching the Avalanche twice,
they had
40
another
seconds.
Level that they achieved.
That was a different team, yeah.
Right. Towards the end of the game, they flipped a switch, and it was like, okay, this is a whole new form of hockey. I have to admit, though,
hey, I ran into our Stanley Cup in the locker room. I forgot we're the defending Stanley Cup champs.
Gerard at the point. Lehkonen on net. Grubauer makes the save. Rebound.
Boy, let me tell you that.
The go-ahead goal for the Avalanche.
That Kraut goalkeeper for the Kraken, he's pretty good. It wasn't good there with that third goal, but he's pretty good. It's with him, it's not a blitzkrieg. It's a sitzkrieg.
Oh, nice historical reference.
Yeah, I don't think he'd appreciate it, but
it was a phony war.
But I was impressed in the first game. If they had won, this is for all of you who don't know, it's a best of 5 series. If they go up 2-0, then they come back for 2 games. I would have gone to that game tomorrow.
The atmosphere is sure to be electric,
and that's and even if they lose the opening round, it's still historic, and it's great to see. All those Finns. All those Finns and the one German dude skating around.
And perhaps it's toxic masculinity, but man, I loved how chippy it was on the ice last night. There were punches, constant, elbows thrown at each other, guys wrestling around on the ground. And both teams wanted it bad last night, and it was just really fun to watch. Playoff hockey is a completely different thing.
Yeah, it really is. And it's not lolling about. And
absolutely not.
The second goal, the guy stands up on the ice right in front of the fans, and
I saw that.
And I don't know if he blew him a kiss or kissed the plexiglass or whatever. But he wants to grow up and be a 10-year-old girl.
With 10-year-old Maya Chen.
Nice. Well, mostly my future was to be able to play on the U.S. women's team.
Well, thanks for imposing roles on yourself at the age of 10. It may be the Deputy Minister of Defense of Ukraine says, hey, psst, you with the pants, the spring offensive has already gotten underway. And also, and she was pointing out the fact yesterday to the BBC that, look, as we're getting stuff, we're committing it to battle. There's not we don't shoot a flare in the air and say, hey, Putin, here we come for the spring offensive. It is underway. And don't be surprised if what NATO is holding back. It could be. Some have said that Ukrainian pilots are already training up as we speak in Belgium on F-16s. And there are those who speculate that that could be the big strategic deception and surprise, is that the Ukrainians announced to Russia, hey, we've got 2 full squadrons of F-16s, and right now they're being hidden, almost literally under the radar. It's hard to hide that kind of thing, but the U.S. can do it. Believe it or not, we can do that.
And the Russians have admitted that they dropped a bomb.
Oh, there's video of that.
One of their own cities.
Yeah, in Belgorod, which is about 50 miles inside of Russia by the Ukrainian border. The Russians admitted there was a accidental bomb implementation, and it's a miracle it didn't kill a bunch of Russians, but it was a big bomb. But anyway, don't be surprised. As I said earlier this week, I get the feeling that with all seeing the long lines of logistical tail and stuff, that the Ukrainians are probably going to change the face of this war, maybe even later today or as we speak right now. Finally, they said the name Hunter Biden on NBC and ABC last night, talking about this IRS whistleblower. You know, the libs and the Democrats love their whistleblowers. Well, now you get a whistleblower from the IRS, and and I think they're kind of prepping people for the fact that no matter what happens with the taxes, Hunter did commit a felony when he purchased a handgun and couldn't do it. Back in a second, AM 770 KTTH.
Time for a new look in your kitchen? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Turn your kitchen into the beautiful showplace that it ought to be and save thousands. Call me for a free estimate. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600. That's 425-485.
KTTH, Bryan Suits here, and the talking point amongst Democrats is that Republicans don't care about mental health in trans kids. And I think what I've heard Republicans saying is, well, what about the mental health of the vast majority of women in women's sports? What about their self-esteem? What about fairness? What about competition? The whole thing. And the minority leader of the Democrats in the House is leading a new talking point. I heard this. I wish I recorded it, but here it is. Greg got it.
And the extreme MAGA Republicans are trying to sensationalize an issue that doesn't really exist in the way that they are falsely portraying.
That's, what's crazy to me is that they haven't done any audience research on that in their own house.
That's right.
I mean, just go to the darkest blue Democrat in San Francisco whose daughter is a track stud, but is going to be faced with 3 trans men on her own team, this spring. It is actually documented as happening all over the place. And man, if you go on YouTube, you see there's some kid in Massachusetts, high school kid. And it looks like a guy has wandered onto a women's 400 meter track in the middle of a race. I mean, beating the other girls in this state competition by 50 feet, which is in a sprint, which is and a 400 is a sprint. 400 and below is a sprint. It's just crazy. And I was watching. It was funny because it's going to go. It is only going one way. It's going male into female sports. I was watching. At the place I was, the NCAA women's gymnastics finals is on, and it was like UCLA, LSU, and 2 other schools. And what's really funny about that sport, about men's gymnastics and women's gymnastics, is biologically, I would love to see a man get on the vault bar, because biologically, I mean, physiologically, there are several events that a man could not do if he still has things hanging. Bottom line. Meanwhile, the idea that post-puberty women would transition to a man and get into men's gymnastics, that's all based on upper body strength. And that, I mean, that's where I do think, some of the sports are going to self-select. Running, you can just do, you just have to be faster than the second place person. But you're not going to see some hairy dude with a big, Jesus bar get on a vault bar, because that would last 5 seconds. And
it's worth hearing the House Minority Leader one more time on this.
And the extreme MAGA Republicans are trying to sensationalize an issue that doesn't really exist in the way that they are falsely portraying.
This is it seems to me, a masterclass in gaslighting the general public. And by the way, 7 out of 10 Americans agree with the GOP on this. It kind of reminds me what Hakeem Jeffries is trying to do here. He's trying to pull a Jedi mind trick over on the general public.
It really is.
I'm not allowed to make any comments.
And part of the deal is because he's the one who writes the talking points. If you can tell how in the tank someone is for 2024 and Biden by how much they agree that Republicans are abusing trans kids by making them compete where their body should be competing, and the gap between people that I know and people that I talk to. And they're looking at each other like, yeah, what else would make more common sense than that? And what Nancy Pelosi or Hakeem Jeffries or those guys are saying, or the tweaking to Title IX that the Biden administration is about to do, it's just confusing.
And for a party that constantly criticizes...
Sounds to me like the White House is prepping CNN and NBC and ABC about the fact that you have a green light to do stories on Hunter Biden. Separate him from the president, but we can't act like it's not happening. Here's how you can talk about it. And also, the fact that you get to denounce firearms because he lied to legally purchase a firearm, and then his dead brother's widow or whoever it was threw it in the garbage where it was found by a bum. Kind of like the laptop, where, exactly where Russia left it. Back right after this, AM 770 KTTH.
Excuse me.
Fever is a urgent.
It's a Whatcom County to King County fentanyl.
Right, unless the bill is fixed, it would be better for the legislature to jump.
Tell me what you're going to do about the fentanyl epidemic.
Oregon, where it's just, so you either leave the state or you pay the fine. But here's Como with more.
Yeah, Lakewood Mayor Jason Whalen, he is one of 28 mayors who signed that letter stating that the changes to Senate Bill 5536.
Metric plethora. 28 is a metric plethora. Rehab and that whole schmear. And by the way, which is the one thing that has been shown to work. Did you see that video of Gavin Newsom walking? The worst part of San Francisco, and if you have to pick one, is the Tenderloin, which is where Inspector Callahan saw a man collecting for the Red Cross, a man with a naked man with a knife. Why did you shoot him, Detective Callahan? But did you see that video? I'll get it. A local guy
was confronted.
Yeah, a guy says, "What do you do about the fentanyl?" And he just cavalierly walks by and say, "Well, what would you have me do?" So, but it's been shown that when you offer someone either jail time or get out faster, or get out faster with rehab, or get out totally with rehab, do it as an outpatient. So here he comes with Rob Bonta.
Hey, Gavin, tell me what you're going to do about the fentanyl epidemic. Please, my name is J.J. Smith.
What should I do,
And I want to know
what do you want?
What you going to do about the fentanyl epidemic.
You to tell me what we need to do.
He just walks arrogantly by with his Attorney General, Rob Bonta, who's as ineffective as Javier Beccaria. And the arrogance of the guy when he's in his home cell, when he's in the egg that created him, it's just astounding that the guy is walking past piles of human fecal matter and needles, the whole thing, because you can't avoid that. His attitude is, what would you have me do? My God, I want to bait him into asking me that question. And also, the guy didn't follow him. I'd follow him and get an answer. But anyway, the arrogance on him and the way he waves his hands all the time so that everyone sees he has huge hands and all this, it's just astounding. And this is what's funny is Democrats who've never been to California love him, because they never see this out of him. They never see his arrogance. It's astounding.
Whether it be California, Oregon, or Washington, and the fact that these respective states either have laws regarding the legalization of drugs, either it's possession or usage. Right now, regardless, we have de facto drug legalization, right? And it's been an unmitigated disaster along the West Coast. And now you want to make it even easier to possess and use drugs? We're in for hell around this area.
Well, I mean, it was going to just run out because the Supreme Court said, okay, drug possession is not a felony 2 years ago, so this was a stopgap. So it is better than nothing, but just barely better than nothing. At least it is still a misdemeanor, but these mayors want to be able to slap you with the hold over your head. They want their city attorneys to be able to hold over your head that, hey, you possessed fentanyl in Issaquah or whatever. You're looking at a gross misdemeanor, and I'm not going to knock it down to a regular misdemeanor. You're looking at a year in state prison and $5,000 when you get out, or maybe. Or you can go to rehab. And that really is the leverage that works.
Controlled substance would be classified as a misdemeanor crime instead of what the Senate suggested, a gross misdemeanor crime.
Shouldn't have it on you. Shouldn't be doing it.
A misdemeanor is punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a fine of up to $1,000. A gross misdemeanor crime is up to 364 days in jail and a fine of up to $5,000.
And another thing that's not clarified in the story is that 90 days means the maximum. No one gets 90 days when they get a misdemeanor. They might book, print, and be out the next day when they show up to serve their sentence. But a gross misdemeanor,